Well, welcome to the show, everyone. You know me.
And I'm Megan, for those that don't.
Yeah, we're just talking about eyelashes,
Yes.
the new it thing. You know what else I heard is the new knit thing? The new it thing. It's called permanent jewelry.
Permanent jewelry?
You heard about this?
No.
It's the dumbest thing on the planet.
What is that? Piercings?
It's very expensive.
Oh.
Let me just preface by saying it's very expensive. And it's literally just jewelry without clasps. They weld the jewelry together. That's it.
Do you never take it off?
Well, you can rip it off.
Why would you want that?
I don't know, but it's like $600 to like $1,200 for like a bracelet. And listen, it's like 14 karat gold, sterling silver, but it's like really expensive.
Nothing about that makes any sense.
I'm shocked. You're the social media girl. You're the one that's supposed to know about this shit.
I haven't seen anything about permanent jewelry. It's almost just as pointless as these Balenciaga bags that we're going to talk about.
Yeah, that's our topic for today. Megan, please let everyone know what you have named today's subject.
Today's episode is called The Devil Wears Balenciaga. Because if you live under a rock, you will know that they are under fire recently for a couple of ad campaigns that they released in November.
Can I ask you a question? Did you know who Balenciaga was?
Yes.
I did not. I only knew of them because of Kim Kardashian's.
Oh, yeah. She's like a big spokesperson for them.
No. She wore that pink, like,
latex
onesie.
Oh,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and they dressed her, I think it was for a Met Gala, where she literally was covered from her head to her toes in the black, like, jumpsuit. Even her face was covered.
So stupid.
Which, you know, I guess we're calling that fashion.
Well, her and Kanye like to do that.
Yes.
He's
still doing that.
We need to stop
Which he
knocking.
should hide his face at this point because he should
So
go
some
into
people
hiding.
are saying that wasn't him.
Oh, come on.
I mean, it sure as hell sounded like him.
It's him. And he does dress like that.
He totally dresses like that.
He just needs to...
He also has this really weird style with jeans that he tucks into
with the boots, with the fishing boots.
The fishing boots, yeah, the rubber boots.
It reminds me of like when my kids put on their rain boots and they're too big a little bit.
I mean, I'm like, is this high fashion? Is this what this guy thinks is high fashion?
Yes, he was selling T-shirts with holes in them for like thousands of dollars.
Once again, another reason why I do not get on social media.
Yes, but you know, like I said, there's some good gems on social media.
Did you happen to hear that interview? I got to hear little blurbs.
I didn't watch the whole thing, but yes, I heard clips of it.
He wants us to stop dissing the Nazis. He thinks that Hitler is like really great.
He thought, yes, he did some great things, has some good qualities.
But his point is that we need to stop canceling people just because they say something we don't like.
Yes. And he has said that for a while. But then he also, I think this was after those interviews, went on Twitter and said something like...
Well, he was carrying a symbol on his Twitter account. That's why Musk took him down.
Well, he also posted something like, in the morning, I'm going to go DEFCON 3 on the Jews or something like that. So...
Little anti-Semitic.
No, just stop. Just stop. Keep some thoughts to yourself.
But his point is that cancel culture is out of control.
It is out of control, but it's also only when certain groups of people want to have cancel culture. Because, for example, what we're going to talk about today, where's the cancel culture now? I've heard nothing.
Well, they're silent.
They're silent. Why? I can't see. I'm already.
Oh, but I have to be honest with you, and I always am. His point is that when people say something that somebody doesn't like, we cancel them. So now he has said something that people don't like, and we've canceled him. You know, once again, if Elon Musk is going to open up Twitter for free speech, let people speak. Now, and once again, what is considered violent speech? Because before Elon Musk came in, violent speech was considered to be, you know, the Democrats not liking what a Republican said, right, or vice versa. That was violent hate speech. So once again, I'm
all for that. I'm all for free speech. I think him saying he's going to go DEFCON 3.
And I don't know. I don't know what he said. Because once again, I'm not on it. I don't know what he said. But if we're not gonna cancel people and we're gonna have free speech, it's been almost 3 months and we're already canceling someone. So there is a very fine line we're walking and nobody can seem to define it.
Right.
And therefore, it's just going to always be how people feel. Well, I don't like what he said today, so we're going to cancel him today. And once again, violence is violence, but violent speech has been so blurred in the past. It's just, I hate it.
And it changes, and now we're just in a society where everything offends everybody. I'm not saying there aren't people out there that are saying horrific things. I'm not for that. I'm not for attacking people. But we can't even play nice in the sandbox. Like, you literally can't say anything to anybody anymore.
I mean, people are literally ripping apart that new show on Netflix, Wednesday.
Oh, I want to watch that.
It's so good. Oh my God,
I just finished The Crown, so that's...
She's adorable. Jennifer Ortega.
Oh, yeah, I like her.
I love the show. And people are calling it racist.
Why?
They're calling...
It's about the Addams family.
Well, because they're saying that the bullies or the mean characters in the show are of a certain race, which in reality, if they actually watch the show, they would realize that one character, her name is Bianca in the show, I believe, she's actually a siren. It's not that she's a bully. She's just a very powerful character. And at the end, she actually ends up helping Wednesday out. So I think in the next season, they're actually going to be allies. But once again, we can't
have anything nice. We can't enjoy anything in life anymore.
Can people just shut up their mouths, and can we stop looking for ways to complain online, and can we stop trying to be Hollywood adjacent, and can we all just like watch a show and just enjoy it for the show's purpose, which is just entertainment.
It's just entertainment. That is what, if you're in that industry, that's what this is. It's entertainment. That's all. It's like Mindy Kaling, who I like her shows. She came out recently and said something like, The Office would never be okay to make now. It's offensive. And I'm like, number one, The Office is...
I've never watched it. I know. People say that to me all the time. They're like, you're crazy. You're not even human, Christine.
You got to watch it. Even if it's just like, you don't even have to watch it in order.
So that's interesting you bring that up, because I just watched one of my favorite movies, Ladybugs. It's a soccer movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen that movie in forever.
Okay, who is the weird guy with the eyes, and what is his name?
I don't know.
There are so many, what would be considered today inappropriate things that he says to the secretary. Like, hey, we should go behind the scenes and do,
but...
So like that would never be okay in today's day and age. But that was like my favorite movie growing up. And what's interesting is I never even caught those things when I was young.
Of course not.
I just had a crush on the main character.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Now that's interesting that we're saying that, because it's just entertainment, but let's move on to Balenciaga. This has gotten a lot of traction. Well, it's kind of actually died a little bit.
It's died a little bit because, of course, as usual.
Well, it died because they decided to just blame the photographer and go, whoops, we didn't review.
Yeah, they tried suing them, which that has been dropped from what I understand.
Which is interesting because, I don't know, it's kind of like the Hillary Clinton thing.
First of all, okay, you have a set designer, you have a production person, whatever, a photographer. You're telling me no one from this major brand was on set for that photo shoot, had to sign off. You know how many people have to sign off on things like that for a campaign?
Well, you're in marketing, so you would know. I mean,
there's 1,000. Jessica, it's got to go through so many phases.
You're in marketing for your company. There's massive amounts of approval that has to happen, correct? Yes. Yeah. So do you believe that crap about it's his fault?
No. Right. This guy was hired to take the pictures, and he even came out and said, I was hired to create the images with what they gave me the props. They put the children on set. Like, it was all of their things for the shoot. I was just there to take the pictures.
See, and that was always my issue with like Hillary, where she was like, I didn't know. I'm like, it's your job to know, bitch, what's going on. Like, I didn't know they were doing this, and I didn't know they were doing.
Yeah, I mean, I literally can't speak about
You really can't play dumb, especially with something like this. And if you work in the marketing industry, you know that that's crap. That nobody saw that and was like
nonsense.
There's massive amounts of approval, especially when you're using children.
And then, I'm jumping ahead of myself, but
yes, you are.
This makes me so angry, this whole thing, because this is just, it's evil, if for a lack of a better word. It's not okay to do this. These kids, and we'll have images up, are so young. These are like my kids' ages.
So let's start from the beginning. Okay, this is so our preface today is like we're using children to force an agenda of an adult.
Yes.
Now we've already talked about that on a previous episode. I believe it was the school curriculum, I can't talk today. Oh my God. The school curriculum and how these teachers are using children to push their own political agendas, which, by the way, everybody has the right to do, but not on impressionable children when your job is to teach math, science, and writing. So this is being portrayed as simulating child pornography, in my opinion.
Which, when I'll get to this too, is apparently protected according to a Supreme Court case.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that because I'm gonna
now
flip the table.
Now, if you're like me, you've never really heard of Balenciaga. I mean, you shop at like Ross and TJ Maxx, and you know what I mean. Like you're not like into the big name brands. Balenciaga is known for its unconventional campaigns and shows such as runway presentations in which models trudged through the mud and blizzard-like conditions. No,
the
I don't waste
models
my
are
time.
like. They're like straight faced and they're walking so ridiculous and they have like these huge coats on and it's like a blizzard out. It's fashion. I don't know.
No, yes, it is fashion, but it's known as couture.
Okay, well.
Is it couture? So Balenciaga dropped its holiday ad campaign featuring children holding teddy bears in bondage harnesses and costumes. The BDSM accessories were also on the runway at Balenciaga show in Paris Fashion Week.
Yes.
The backlash against the images has been swift, with the hashtag cancel Balenciaga trending across Twitter and TikTok, and many accusing the brand and its creative director, Demna, of condoning pedophilia and child exploitation. So let's describe the pictures. The picture showed pages from the Supreme Court. So
there's two.
No, there's three.
Well, there's two campaigns that came out. One was with the young kids holding their bags, by the way, which what deranged adult is buying a plush bondage stuffy bag for thousands of dollars? I have a better idea. Take that money.
I know a few in my life that
and go put it into the therapy that you so clearly need. Because if that's something that you're like, I gotta have, you need help.
They're scary looking too. So a toddler. Holding a teddy bear dressed in sexual bondage gear, including leather harnesses. And I loved how they were like, "Oh, we didn't mean to do that. You totally meant to do that because you put it in your fashion show."
You can't even look at this picture and be like, "Oh, I can see how it looks punk." No, these animals are wearing bondage.
I mean, the kids are so cute. A little redhead one.
The redhead looks terrified, which I don't blame.
So these were supposed to be purses for adults, but they're being held by children.
Yes.
The next picture is one photograph showed a very young girl lying face down on a couch with candles, empty wine glasses, and a dog collar on a coffee table in front of her. So once again, using a child in a position that a grown adult woman would be in after a very long night of drinking.
Right.
Or partying. With a dog collar. That's interesting. And then once again, one of these bags are kind of positioned in the background. So were those the two campaigns?
Well, so that was one, and then the one that you were talking about with the court case documents.
The one that's the most that kind of undercuts their apology, in my opinion, is that the picture shows pages from the Supreme Court opinion that struck down a law designed to fight child pornography. Whoever staged the photo shoot made certain to include a portion of that opinion that used the word sex or sexual 4 times, and of course, that's not on accident.
Of course it's not.
And it's got a little Balenciaga bag in the middle, which I personally
that sells
think
for over $3,000.
It's freaking ugly.
It is ugly.
It's really ugly. Okay.
Like, I don't understand. I don't care what line of work you are in. I don't care what you do, how extreme and funky and weird you want to be. Sexualizing children, which we all know is what this is doing, is not fashion. It's not okay in any universe. It's wrong.
There's nothing accidental about these pictures. These are very intentionally placed, staged photographs. That's what I see.
That's what makes it even more disturbing. to me.
And they had to respond. So Balenciaga responded. Can I do a side note?
Yeah.
When I was in second grade, there was a situation that I was involved in. I don't know if you guys know this.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. It's not really that dramatic, and I didn't even know what was going on when I was in second grade. One day I came home and my mom and dad, I remember I was sitting on that raspberry counter. Remember that big counter we had?
In your old house?
In my old house on West Hill.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, hey, how was the assembly today? Because it was the end of the year.
Okay.
And there was a big end of year assembly. And I don't know if I was excited about it. And I told them about it, that we're doing this on Friday. And I said, oh, I didn't get to go to the assembly. And she goes, why weren't you at the assembly? I said, my teacher, blah, 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 kept me and a young boy back so that she could film us.
Oh, what?
And my mom goes, what? I go, yeah. I go, we were asked to stay back by Mrs. blah, blah, blah. And she filmed us. And she goes, what did you do in this film? And I said, well, I had to crumple up pieces of paper and throw them at him and smile and kind of act like girly. And then he would come up to me and push me and we would kind of flirt and act like we were flirting with each other. I didn't even know what that meant back then. I was
Of course not, you're 7.
I was trying to and she was like,
Oh.
I remember she was like, do you mean like flirting with the boy? And I was like, I think so. I was just supposed to.
You didn't know what that meant.
I was just told to giggle and kind of go like this with my shoulders and flick my hair. And my mom goes, all right, Christina, thank you so much. Why don't you go play? The next day, my parents went into the school.
That's when you go DEFCON, whatever.
Very upset. So later on in my life, what I learned was that this teacher, to her, it was very innocent. She had 2 best friends in her life that met when they were in second grade. One of them happened to have dark hair. The boy happened to have blonde hair. And they used me and this boy to depict them when they were in second grade meeting each other.
No.
I remember that and I had no idea that's what was going on.
No.
And my parents flipped. Now, I do remember coming in the next week, and it was the last day of school, and she was crying. And
Your teacher?
The teacher. And I walked up to her and I said, is this because of me?
You did?
I loved this teacher. You have to understand, I really loved, she was one of my most favorite teachers, not anymore, but I loved this teacher. And she said to me, I'll never forget this. She goes, no, I'm just sad it's the last day of school. Now
And I have no job now.
Now fast forward, she never came back.
You're damn right she didn't come back. I'm sorry. You are an adult. This is what's so scary is like we have these adults that we need to be able to trust with our kids. And yes, in her mind, she's like, oh, I'm doing something cute for my friends. You're being a weirdo.
No, you're sexualizing a child.
And that is not okay. And it's so terrifying to me that these adult people can't understand that. Like there is a line. Why do we not know where it is?
No, please no, there wasn't any permanent damage. I'm totally fine. Although I can't hold down a relationship, but other than that, I'm totally normal.
See? No, I just think it's not okay.
Yeah. Oh, I remember that day. It's funny, as I was researching this, I was like, wait a minute, this kind of happened to me.
It like triggered your memory.
In a very innocent way. And once again, as a 7-year-old, you don't know what's going on. But she got
happen.
Fired.
Have one of my kids come tell me that.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
have it happen.
Yeah. I remember his name too. And you know what's really interesting is I just saw him this summer.
At one if he was okay.
Right, I go to like a restaurant right near where I dock my boat, and he looked over me. He goes, "Oh, Christine Salomon," and I was like, "Oh my God, so and so." And
you're like, "Remember that time?"
I mean, we're talking decades.
I mean, yeah, but you remember it. It's not okay. I'm sure God, I wish I was a fly on the wall for that conversation.
For my dad, I know.
Oh especially your dad.
I remember being up in my room being like, what are they talking about down there? Because something serious had happened.
I would have given out anything to be part of that conversation.
So yeah, I think you're right though. Adults who just think that using children for their own pleasure, their own
and that's
whatever.
what it is. It's like, no. Realize and understand your role in society and that we need to protect kids at any age. You're the adult. And if you can't, go off the grid somewhere. Go live in a forest. Be weird over there. This is not okay to me.
Yeah, go work at Twitter.
Well, no, you can't now.
Don't. Actually, don't.
You're going to get fired.
So Balenciaga did respond.
You know what killed me, though?
This was the worst.
First of all, they came out, their first statement, I believe, was on their Instagram stories. That's how they released their statement.
Is this what you're talking about, this long?
Yes.
This was on Instagram?
I believe so. There was something they came out and said that the plush bears should not have been featured with children. They said, we take this matter very seriously, taking legal action against the parties responsible for creating the set. We strongly condemn abuse of children in any form, and we stand for children's safety and well-being. And then they filed a lawsuit against the production company and set designer. And then the set designer, I believe that lawsuit has been dropped, if I read that correctly. But the set designer
They have to drop it.
Well, yeah, and the set designer came out and said, everybody from Balenciaga was on the shoot and present for every shot.
And here are the signatures.
Yeah, well,
you know
no
I mean?
kidding. And I don't blame them. But also, again, where is the accountability? Where are the adults speaking up? I understand that you were hired to do this job, but if you thought this was not okay, forget what you're getting paid.
Can we
speak up about it?
Can we also address these children? Did they go to an orphanage and just grab two children?
There were parents on set.
That's what I'm saying. Where are the parents on this set saying, you're really going to put my kid with a bondage bear?
Yes.
You're going to have her lying down face flat, drunk with a dog collar? Where is mom and...
There was a dad who wants to be named anonymous because you'd probably be literally like put 6 feet under. But he came out and said, he was there on the set and the kids had a fantastic time.
Of course they did. They didn't know what was going on.
You are also the problem.
Ugh.
You are the problem. Again, if I am a parent, I'm bringing my kid to a photo shoot for this company. I don't care who you are. If I'm sitting there and realizing, they're handing her a bondage thing, you think I'm going to be like, she's having so much fun. She looks so cute holding that. Like, are you choking me?
The fun is insignificant at that point. It's the purpose of the message.
You don't... Where are the parents speaking up? Where are the other people who were also on set thinking, this seems a little...
Well, there was enough people that thought this was a good idea. And what's weird is
the sad thing.
It took the general public to be like, what are you people
If no one said a word about that in the public or whatever, this would have...
Well, what's interesting is that a lot of people didn't say anything about it. You know, people wanted to go after the Goya president.
Yes.
Because, I don't know, what did he do?
He supported an American...
Marine or something?
Yes. Something like that.
They all want to rip him apart on social media, yet the same people haven't even said a word regarding this.
Not a peep. Nothing. But we want to speak out about every other thing that goes on in the world. We want to tear, everyone needs to be a politician. Everyone wants to cancel everything else. But when it comes to something involving children and something like this, on this scale, where are the voices?
Did you happen to listen to Tucker Carlson's little breakdown of this?
I love Tucker Carlson.
So yeah, if you're like a lib out there, you don't like Tucker Carlson, you think he's absolutely insane.
There were comments about him doing that, saying he's went completely overboard, blew this out of proportion, blah blah blah. Because you're again sick.
Is blowing children being depicted in a questionable way, blowing something out of proportion? Because even if it
to some, I guess.
Once again, these are children. Mm-hmm. If you put if you had adults in those pictures, this would have never happened. Even if you had young adults in these pictures, like 20-year-olds.
Of course.
This would have never happened. The fact that you have I don't know how
you chose
to put kids?
They look toddler age to me.
Toddler. What's toddler?
Like they look 3-4 years old.
I mean, she's so cute, that little redhead.
I know.
Oh my God.
And they have no clue. But where are the adults protecting them and speaking up for them?
I didn't think he was blowing it out of proportion. I thought he had an interesting little conspiracy theory.
Yeah, what was it again?
I'll read it to you. I have the clip, but it is a staple of so-called conspiracy theories that at the highest levels of politics and finance, there is a shadowy cable of pedophiles who use their own power to hide the crimes they commit against children. Jeffrey Epstein, for example. That trial is still going on.
And guess what? Have we heard anything? I know I've said this before, but have we heard anything about that trial? Of course not. It's been very hush-hush.
Epstein continued to dine with business moguls. Is that how you say that word? Moguls. Oh.
But I like moguls.
Oh my God, I was really off. Moguls and heads of state long after he was arrested for having sex with minors. Mm-hmm. How did he do that? Why didn't anybody say anything? Why did people keep eating with him? Well, at the very least, we can conclude, based on the evidence, that there is tolerance for pedophilia among some.
I believe that.
Among the most powerful in our society, a tolerance that you would not find in, say, your everyday average middle-class American family. Some of the rich really are different that way. That's clearly true, and in case you need more evidence of that, consider Balenciaga.
Yes, and I have always thought that. I believe that that's true. So I kind of started to dig deeper into this. There's a company called Kering, Kering. Mm-hmm. They own Balenciaga. They also own some other luxury brands like Gucci, Alexander McQueen.
Oh, really? Balenciaga doesn't own Balenciaga?
No.
Because it was started by a guy.
You want to know who the CEO of Kering is?
Jeffrey
Selma
Epstein.
Hayek's husband.
Oh.
Francois Pinault. He is the CEO of Kering. And that same CEO, so this is Selma Hayek's husband. He also owns an auction website that sells disgusting and disturbing art portraying naked children with mutated bodies and sex organs on their faces.
No.
I look it up. I'm not going to talk about the images and what they are.
No, I want you to talk about the images.
I'll show you. I can't even talk about it because that's how disturbing this is to me. He owns this site.
Who buys this? Why isn't this illegal?
It's an up and running and functioning website. These pictures, this artwork sells for thousands of dollars.
What's it called?
Some sell for millions of dollars.
What's it called?
I got to look it up. But look up Francois Pinault, CEO of Kering.
How do you spell Oh, okay. Keep going.
And that's
He's an old guy.
Yeah. That, I guess, has been around for quite some time. And look at some of those images.
Oh, Wikipedia wants support. They want you to pay money now.
Do they really?
How about you get the facts right first?
I think I actually had some up on here.
Kering. Oh.
Kering. Yes.
And president of Group Artemis. Is that it? What you're talking about? I don't understand how that's legal.
Correct. But it is. It's up there. It's up there, and people.
Where did you find this information?
A bunch of news articles, and I've heard stuff about him before. But yeah,
I've heard stuff about him before.
I have. I always, because I knew that Selma Hayek was married to a owner of a bunch of fashion companies, but I never really. I don't pay attention to their.
Oh, here it is.
Yeah.
CEO Balenciaga's parent company owns site that sells child sex mannequins with I'm pretty sure we're not allowed to say any of those words.
Exactly. Is it showing you some?
Face. Wow. Is it showing me? Oh! It kind of looks like Pinocchio.
And people are buying that.
Why? That's sad.
So
we have a photographer in the house today. Jess, we're just going to get her reaction on camera. Oh my God.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you tell me there's nothing bigger going on.
Well, look at Selma. What are you doing with him?
Right.
Anyway. All right.
What
else you got, Megan? Now that you've shocked the shit out of all of us.
I know. You're welcome. But no, this has disturbed me deeply. And I just, like you said, I can't believe this is something that's allowed. That's up and running.
Is it illegal in other countries? I don't know the rules of other countries. I know what you must be 18. Yes, I'm 18.
It should be illegal literally everywhere. I don't know. I can't even. This is like deeply disturbing. Then I was looking into just more of the history of Balenciaga and like who works for them. And
Well, it was started by a guy whose mother taught him to sew.
Great.
But I don't if it's owned by another, I don't think he's still involved.
Yeah, so I think they go through different, stylists and things like that. And there's this one woman, she's a Russian stylist. I don't think she currently works with them, but she has done styling with them before. Her name's Lada Volvoka. And she has a private Instagram page, but since these ad campaigns came out, her name has been brought up because apparently she has a lot of disturbing images on her Instagram as well. And then I'll show some too. I found some articles that actually show them because her profile is private. But there's images like with children. Again, for some reason, there's like a young boy wearing high heels, a bedroom that appears to be covered in all sorts of blood stains. There's images of a man and a woman. They have like garbage bags over their bodies and their heads, and they're kind of like taped together and they're wrapped up together. There's another of a child being like sitting in a chair and they're taped up. Yeah.
See, there's
again, a woman looks like she's sacrificing herself.
Use adults all you want to make your art. I don't understand the children aspect
There's
of it.
a picture of this stylist, right? I don't know if she was walking a runway or she's part of some campaign. She's wearing red. She's holding 2 baby dolls that are completely covered in red. Looks like blood. And she's holding them like this.
And what do you think the picture was trying to?
That you're a psychopath?
I know that. But like, what's the point of the one woman for the abort?
What's the point of these campaigns? There's no point. There's no point. Well, you just want to shout out, I should be arrested, but no one's doing it?
Well, someone should. Well, you could argue that it's art. However, once again, I don't understand how children can.
Sexualizing children is not art. And
no, of course not.
And honestly, I feel like this whole company should be investigated.
Well, I think that things are slowly starting to unfold. I mean, look how long it took to grab Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh, I know. Look how long it is to still try to get information from the trial.
And you have to admit to yourself, Jeffrey Epstein, he hung out with the top of the top, the elite of the elite. Yes. You have Prince Andrew, who has been completely disowned by the royal family at this point in time.
He should be.
But once again, Jeffrey Epstein hung out with all these top people and was doing this pretty publicly. And nobody said anything. I find that bizarre.
That's why I think, to your point, there's this upper ring.
Tucker's point.
Yeah, Tucker's point.
I can't take credit for it.
Yes, the point that you reiterated is that I do think there is this upper circle of sickos and with a lot of power. And I think if stuff like this and ad campaigns and pictures and things come out to the public, like what do you think goes on behind closed doors?
I don't know. But, he also said something else where he alluded to the fact that academics call pedophilia just a different type of love. And we used to...
Where's the door?
Yeah, I know. It's a little sick. And then if you...
Who says that?
Academics. I don't know. He didn't name an academic. That's just what Tucker said. I don't know.
Tucker, tell me the names.
I have the whole clip. It's a phenomenal clip. We can play it, but we don't have that much time. And then he actually goes into like, if you're against this kiddie porn, people are claiming you're anti-gay. Are gay people in favor of molesting kids? Of course not. Protecting children from adults who want to sexually exploit them is a basic human instinct.
Correct. And if you are sexualizing children, you should be in jail. Like it should be pretty black and white, in my opinion.
This brought up for me, what's interesting is my new one, aside from the pottery show, one of my favorite things in the world to watch is My 600-Pound Life.
Oh, I love that show. I haven't seen it recently, but yes.
What do a lot of the females in that do you know what a lot of those females in that show have in common?
That they're overweight?
Yes.
I'm just kidding. What?
What happened to them in their childhood?
They got some sort of trauma going on.
They were all sexually molested. Not all of them. Pretty much a majority of them were sexually molested when they were younger. And their immediate reaction was turning to food.
I get it.
Yeah.
It's awful. It's awful. Again, that's why you need people to protect kids, because they are innocent. They are pure. They don't know. They don't know. And you're inflicting this on them, and they might not realize it then. But you don't think that's gonna do something to their brain as time goes on and they get older? If this is just keeps getting pushed in front of your face?
Well, as long as, I mean, listen, these kiddos in the picture, they don't know what's going on. They're holding a teddy bear, and I don't know if there'll be any damage done to these folks.
But the fact that you have parents that were okay with this, you're screwed.
Because there's always somebody who takes it to the next level, and then there's always someone else who takes it to the next level, and then there's always someone else who takes it to the next level, and then we have pedophilia. So the problem is that you can't do it at all. Not with children. Children are off limits.
Yeah.
They are here to have fun, to grow up, to learn how to live as humans in society.
Be good human beings. Hopefully.
And they are not there to push your own agenda.
Right.
So Balenciaga has written lots of apologies. We would like to address because I think what you read was their first apology. Then they put out this written statement. So we would like to address the controversies around the ads. Then they go into like the first campaign, the gift collection campaign, feature the children, and then the second one, which was the bag of the Supreme Court documents, which in my opinion, you can't get more intentional than that.
How do you get yourself out of that one?
It's not like, oh, hey, I have these Supreme Court documents.
Just
lay
them around on this table. Let's use these.
Let's put it right like that.
And just make sure these words are just showing, too, out from out of the bag.
Yeah, and that was the United States versus Williams, 2008, which confirms as illegal and not protected by freedom of speech, the promotion of child pornography. So, and then while internal and external investigations are ongoing, we are taking the following actions. We are closely revising our organization and collective ways of working. Meaning what?
I think
we have to tell the pedophiles to just be quiet for a little while.
I think Balenciaga needs to shut down. I think they need to clean house and start from scratch.
Unfortunately, I think the man at the top may be the sickest individual in the organization.
100%.
So they're not going to shut down, and even if they did clean house, the problem is you still have the leader
person owning it,
poisoning the entire company. Because my guess is there's a lot of really good folks at Balenciaga that are probably going to pay for this. We are reinforcing the structures around our creative processes and validation steps. We want to ensure that new controls mark a pivot and will prevent this from happening again. We are laying the groundwork with organizations who specialize in, oh my God, we are now virtue signaling towards child protecting, and we're going to make a big donation to child abuse and exploitation. That's crap.
Sure you are.
And then we want to learn from our mistakes and identify ways we can contribute.
I think that's a bunch of garbage.
Unfortunately, they're just words. Actions will sell everything, but words are just words.
Well, it's kind of like a lot of people were after Kim Kardashian because she's like their biggest face, right?
Well, she has a huge deal with them. She has a huge contract
deal.
with them.
She wears their stuff all the time. She gets them a lot of attention.
So here is Kim Kardashian's post. As a mother of 4, I've been shaken by the disturbing images. The safety of children must be held with the highest regard, and any attempts to normalize child abuse of any kind should have no place in our society. I mean, every good society has to condemn child exploitation in every way, shape, or form. It's a human instinct. And then she says, wait, was this a daily? I don't know.
First of all, it took her a week to even come out with something.
Yeah, she was pretty silent. I appreciate Balenciaga's removal of campaigns and apology and speaking with them. I believe they understand the seriousness of the issue and will take, so like she's now a consultant for Balenciaga.
Right. Like I wanted to speak with their team. You should have dropped them. You don't need the money.
As for my future with Balenciaga, I am currently reevaluating my relationship with the brand, basing it off of their willingness to accept accountability for something that should never happen to begin with, and the actions I am expecting to see them take to protect children. That means to me, I really like the money they pay me, and if they say they're sorry, then...
She should have just ended the relationship.
I mean, she's got something to say about everything else.
That's what I mean. I mean,
she went after that Goya guy. I'm just saying, like, girl, stand for something or fall for everything.
Exactly. It's just gross. I can't. I found there was like some, you know, because now
It's 111. Make a wish.
okay,
Balenciaga burns.
they burn in hell.
I've been told this week that I'm very sassy.
Who told you that?
I don't know. I'm just several people. I'm very sassy.
Is that bad?
I don't know. I just, not to get off this subject because it's very important, but this whole thing with returning this American from Russia is we leave a Marine sitting in
Sitting
jail.
there, a hero. We're letting,
Just bring. She breaks the law. She pisses all over our anthem. She doesn't appreciate the U.S., and that's the one we choose to bring home. And don't sit there and tell me it wasn't a choice. Of course it was a choice.
It was a choice, but we're trading her for probably the most dangerous human being alive.
I don't understand this. I can't even believe it. It wasn't a choice. No, it was a choice. It was a choice to give in to Russia and not demand the other one. The Marine who has fought for this country. Rather you give us the freaking American who kneels during our anthem and pisses all over her rights. I wonder how she's going to feel about America now. I don't know. I don't know. That just bothered me today.
Did you see what the press secretary said?
Didn't she read the wrong script?
I don't know, but I think someone was asking, like, why would we trade for her and not the Marine?
It's a great
Paul
question.
Or whatever. And she was like, of course, we're going to continue to fight for him to come back. And like we have been. She goes, but Brittany is also, she said something how she's a great spokesperson for the LGBTQI.
What does that have to do with anything?
But that's the point she made.
So because she's a gay black woman, she gets to come home first?
Basically.
Oh my God. It's so interesting.
That looked better than sending an actual Marine. He's a Marine, right?
Yep.
An actual Marine home. Who fought for this country. Who fought for you to shit on America, Brittany. He fought for that freedom for you.
Once again, I don't care what your sexual orientation is. I don't care what color your skin is. You are the one that hates this country, and he is the one that fought for it, and we're bringing you back?
Right. Right.
All right.
This is the world we're living in.
No, this is the leadership we have.
Yeah.
This is the leadership we have. So that bothered me today.
That's been pretty brutal to watch.
I don't know. My opinion would have left her over there. You hate this country so much, stay over there. Because they're much worse over there.
Much worse. I'm sure she has seen that, too. I hope.
What was she going over there for? To play in a basketball tournament?
I think it was a tournament, and then they found what?
Cannabis.
In her bag?
Hashish oil.
Yeah.
However the hell you say that
It was
word.
I don't know all the terms, but yes.
So that bothered me. The fact that our president is now going to bail out a federal union with our taxpayer dollars is also bothering me. I just don't understand.
Real bothered today.
I just don't understand the decisions we're making sometimes. It doesn't make any friggin' sense.
Well, it's like you think things can't really get worse, and then they always do.
I mean, we literally gave them an arms dealer for one person.
Yes. That's what I mean.
Why not? Nope, we need them both.
We shouldn't even call that a deal or a trade. That's not what this is.
No, it's because we don't know how to negotiate.
Right. Because look who's running the White House.
He seemed, by the way, he was giving that speech. He seemed so uninterested to be there. And we have to bring home I mean, just like all the lights are not there. Like he looks like he's being forced at this point to talk.
It's brutal. It's sad.
So as we move on I took a training. So like I said to you, my 600-pound life, like they all have the same trauma, which is like being molested when they were a child or sexually abused when they were a child. There was some significant part of that in their life. So we also kind of wanted to talk a little bit about child trafficking.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. Did I get the topic right?
No. Yes, we do.
And it
all kind of links together.
Well, it all leads to one thing, and that is the over abuse of children, which would be a child exploitation and child abuse. I took a training 2 or 3 years back with a woman named Nikki Myers. She was this incredible woman. And it was basically a 12-step program with yoga linked in.
Oh.
I actually have my certification in it. But there was this point in the training that she was talking about childhood trauma and how that affects children as they grow up. There was this study done by a female doctor out in California, because she was a pediatrician, and she was like, why are so many kids coming into my practice that can't pay attention in school? They can't, and they want me to keep prescribing to them Adderall. And she was like, I want to start understanding why these kids, and there's so many of them in this specific area in California, why do all the kids here need Adderall? So it led her to this study of looking at childhood trauma and basically putting it all on a scale so that you could measure it, and then following those children through their lives to adulthood. And basically what she was able to find out was crazy. So the study's researchers came up with an ACE score to explain a person's risk for chronic diseases. So an ACE score is basically how much stress do you have in your life?
Oh, God.
Or how much childhood, they called it toxic stress, a kid went through in their life. So think of it as a cholesterol score for childhood toxic stress. You get 1 point for each type of trauma. The higher your ACE score, the higher your risk of health and social problems. Of course, other types of traumas exist that could contribute to an ACE score, so it is conceivable that people could have ACE scores higher than 10. However, the ACE study measured only 10 types. They found through this study that, like, kids with a certain score on their ACE were like 40 to 60 times more to develop cancer.
Really?
Yeah. So if you don't mind, I'd love to run through the questions.
Yeah, I'm
so
curious.
these are the traumas they're looking for. So number 1, did a parent or other adult in the household often or very often swear at you, insult you, put you down, or humiliate you? Or act in a way that made you feel afraid that you might be physically hurt? And you would check, or you would put a 1 for no or a 1 for yes.
So sad.
Another trauma. Did a parent or adult in the household often or very often push, grab, slap, or throw something at you? Or ever hit you so hard that you had marks or were injured? Okay, so physical abuse. Number 3, did an adult or person at least 5 years or older than you ever touch or fondle you or have you touch their body in a sexual way, or attempt to actually have oral, anal, or vaginal intercourse with you? Yes or no? Did you often or very often feel that no one in your family loved you or thought you were important or special, or your family didn't look out for each other, feel close to each other, or support each other? Check yes or no. Number 5, did you often or very often feel that you didn't have enough to eat, had to wear dirty clothes, and had no one to protect you? Or your parents were too drunk or high to take care of you or take you to the doctor if you needed it? God. Check yes or no. Were your parents ever separated or divorced? They consider that a trauma. Was your mother or stepmother often or very often grabbed, slapped, or had something thrown at her? So basically domestic abuse in the house, not so much to you, but towards...
But you were there for it, yeah.
Ever repeatedly hit over at least a few minutes or threatened with a gun or a knife? Yes or no? Did you live with anyone who was a problem drinker or alcoholic or who used street drugs? Yes or no? Number 9, was a household member depressed or mentally ill? Or did a household member attempt suicide? Yes or no? Did a household member go to prison? Yes or no? Then it tells you, now add up your yeses. This is your ACE score.
And this is like, who fills this out? What age do you, or is this just something she wanted to do?
So she brought this, and I don't know if it was her that came up with these specific questions, but she started asking these questions to the children. Okay. You want to be prescribed Adderall? We're going to go through these questions now. And what she was finding was that the children with higher scores, or that it was all the children coming in that needed Adderall, had a higher ACE score.
And they all had stuff checked off of that list.
Yes. And then there was like a big... So if a child grows up with an overload of toxic stress, their stress response genes are likely to be activated so that they are easily triggered by stressful situations that don't affect those who don't grow up with toxic stress. So when you put toxic stress kids in the same classroom as non-toxic stress kids, basically these kids are going to have meltdowns on meltdowns.
Yeah, it makes sense.
They're not going to pay attention. They're not going to follow the rules. Therefore, leading the adults in their life to believe just put them on Adderall. It's ADHD. It's not. It's because these kids have not been given the tools to equip themselves in life. This was so interesting when she was going through this, and she noticed it was in this one area that she was in California. I don't specifically remember it, but what's interesting is that this kind of went silent for a little while, but now it looks like there's a whole foundation on it, which is nice. So it's the Adverse Childhood Experiences Study. It's the largest, most important public health study you've ever heard of.
Wow.
And it began in an obesity clinic.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I like it though, because instead of just saying, take this pill, take these prescriptions, it's like, let's get to the root of it and try to help figure out how to navigate through your life.
Yeah, because you have to remember, there's also other types of childhood trauma that most children are going to go through anyway.
Yes.
You got racism, bullying, watching siblings being abused,
It's just
losing
life.
a caregiver.
I mean, yeah, of course, everyone goes through different things, but in some way, shape, or form, I think everyone, unfortunately, some have way more extremes than others, but you deal with some sort of stress.
And the other thing about ACS scores is you can see it through the generations.
Yeah.
So if, she actually put her own family tree up on a graph for us. And she was she started drinking at 12 years old.
12?
She was sexually abused. She was highly neglected. She had probably one of the worst childhoods on this planet. And so what she did was she turned to alcohol at 12 years old. She was a full-blown alcoholic by 15 years old. Yeah. So she put her own family tree up on the board because you learn what you learn when you're a child.
Sure.
You continue. We've all turned into our parents. Like, think of that Geico commercial.
Oh, I love
Right?
that Geico commercial.
Yeah. We can't stop you from becoming your parents. So, and it was interesting. You could see all the way back. I mean, we're talking like 50, 60, 80 years back in her family tree of alcoholism that just bled all the way through to her generation. And she said, my only goal on this planet is to stop it with my daughter's generation. And her daughter is like a very successful person in life and has never touched a drop of alcohol.
Wow.
And she admitted, she goes, I've relapsed. She called it like, don't ever let yourself get hungry or cranky, because then you're going to relapse. So she then created this 12-step program with yoga because she believes that these kids that have these really emotional experiences with their body, sexual molestation, you start to disconnect from your body. So you overeat. Yeah. You don't feel when you're hungry. You just keep eating. You don't know when to stop drinking. So there's this massive mind-body disconnection. So by bringing that one yoga fact back in, which is supposed to connect your mind to your body, that's the whole purpose of it, it actually had a better success rate than a normal 12-step program.
That's awesome.
It was one of the most powerful trainings I've ever taken. And I love that part of it because who would ever think that, those triggers in kids' life actually makes them grow up to be sicker. Especially
if you don't face it and you don't, you're not putting it to paper, you're not really taking time to think about it. You're just living your life and it's like fight or flight. You're just going to do what you're used to.
So that's what happens is, that's exactly biologically what happens is what you just said. I had it written here. It keeps them in a permanent fight or flight response with children. And as they grow up to be adults, they don't know how to turn that off. Also, the ACS studies mass shooters. Oh. And what we're starting to look at now is not so much the devastation of mass shootings, but we're looking at the family of the mass shooters. So like in Buffalo, New York, right up the street from us, that shooter's ACE score was likely to be very high because last June, the police were called to his high school for threatening statements. He threatened to shoot people at his high school graduation. He was hospitalized for a day for mental health evaluation, which means he was trying to do a murder-suicide. So once again, it's also these shooters. How do we prevent mass shootings across the world? We have to get toxic stress out of kids' life.
I know.
I thought that was interesting because
that makes sense because
we all want to get rid of guns, this inanimate object that, by the way, if you set it on the floor is never going to do it. It's the person behind the inanimate object with the intention. I mean, you take guns away, they're just going to find another way to kill. A bomb, a car, a knife. They're just going to find another way to do it if you don't get to the root of the problem. Whatever your belief is on guns, you still have to understand the root of the problem is the person doing the trigger. Act.
Yes.
And evil is evil. So, and we, unfortunately, I think evil is created sometimes.
Absolutely, I believe that.
So imagine if you're a child who's been trafficked.
I can't.
I mean, trafficking is where children and young people, they're tricked, forced, persuaded to leave their homes and are moved out and transported and then exploited, forced to do work, or sold. I was shocked when I was doing my research on this because they kind of link child trafficking in with adult trafficking because it's somewhat this. It all kind of leads to the same place. Massage parlors are trafficking hubs. What's the other one that was hotels? Staff.
Yes.
Like people are just made to be slaves. And you know what? Do you know where most of these children are found? My favorite place in the world.
What?
Social media.
Oh, yes.
That is how they recruit these children. And as I was doing my my research, a lot of these kids had mom and dads. Like I have a couple real stories here. A lot of these kids had mom and dads.
That they were taken away from?
And they were promised this massive money-making job that they would be successful in, only to find out that they were basically prostituted out. I was a little surprised at that because between 15,000 and 50,000 women and children are forced into sexual slavery in the United States every single year. And
that's so terrifying.
And every single state is guilty of this.
Of course. But that's terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
You hear about the stories too, like I've heard, actually I think one was this is going back years, one was in Buffalo, I think. A woman had one of her children with her and they were shopping, I don't know, somewhere, Target, whatever. And there was somebody following them around the store. And she started noticing. And you have these people who...
Oh, I remember this.
Yes. And they're taking pictures or trying to take pictures, and they're literally following them through the aisles. And it freaked her out, obviously. And I think she ended up having security or went to somebody in the store and saying, I feel like I'm being followed. I need to get to my car. Can you have somebody security walk me to my car?
They didn't have the old guy at the door greeting people walk her out, did they?
No. But, and then I think that person, there was somebody else outside, because what they do is they'll follow you and they'll keep tabs on you. And meanwhile, they have other people waiting out in the parking lot to get you basically and take you and God knows what. No.
Well,
no.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk of the one story where they actually walked up to the mother and offered the mother money for the kid.
I don't know about that. What?
Mm-hmm. That happened somewhere in this country. That was last year. A guy walked up to a woman and offered the woman money for her child. And it made the news because she was very upset, obviously.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm. So this is one of... UNICEF is a huge organization that fights against this. I might actually look into donating to UNICEF. Just listen to this. This isn't from the U.S., but it makes...
Is this going to make me rage?
No.
Okay.
Sometimes you see 3 men.
Her face is blacked out.
Sometimes 4 in a day.
So sometimes you see 3 men or 4 men in a day. 17-year-old Joy was trafficked, I missed that, and forced into prostitution in Italy. Her trafficker lured her with a promise of a job.
She told me that I was going to help her in stylist. Said my life will be a better one if I get here.
Desperate to escape poverty, Joy undertook a dangerous journey by sea.
When I got here, she told me that I'm there to do prostitute so that I can pay her money that she used in bringing me to Italy.
Her debt was 20,000 euros. I don't know how much that is.
I'm still back in my country. I would have risked my life through that journey of prostitution. And we are poor, but not to the extent of standing on the road half naked. I was praying, God, just help me. This is not the life I want for myself.
By an organization that helps victims of trafficking. Oh, I don't know. I read that too.
She was helped by
Oh, okay.
How did they find her?
Alarming number of refugee and migrant children are trafficked. That's why I wanted to share this video. And my brain, after I saw this video, went right to the border. I mean, I know we've already had our border
Discussion.
episode. But just think of how many kids are coming through that border. And by the way, how many kids they're finding out that's not actually mom and dad they're walking through with. I just heard today that the cartels have made $25 billion off of moving humans through this border.
I have no doubt.
But
It's safe there. Don't worry about it, though.
It's not. Because according to this, migrant children are the most trafficked children.
Which makes sense.
Of course
they're
it makes sense.
Desperate. They're on their own. They prey on people like that.
Mm-hmm.
They give them, like you said, all these promises of money and a good job. And, you know, it's sick. It's disgusting.
Real stories, the unrest. Samantha was only allowed 4 hours of sleep a night, and her trafficker made her addicted to heroin.
I think that's the other big thing, too. They get them hooked on drugs.
They have to.
Well, yeah.
They have to make them lean on them in some way, shape, or form. And it's not, and they obviously can't do that because they're good people. When I first started working, I would have breakdowns in the middle of a session. I couldn't do it until finally I kind of just separated me and who I am when I'm working. Otherwise, I would go crazy. I would lose it. Your mind is numb. You numb your mind. Oh. And then the fear. I remember one time I was just outside smoking a cigarette and someone asked me for a lighter and he had somebody watching me. I got beat for that later, and it was just because someone asked me to use my lighter. Because I wasn't allowed to talk to anybody. When we went out, I had to tell him my order to tell the waiter. I couldn't look at anybody. I had to look at him or the ground. And if you messed up in public, then you were going to get beat as soon as you got back to the room. And he'd make sure nobody heard. He'd turn up the TV and turn on the shower, and if you cried or screamed or anything, then he would take you out of the room. And you never knew if dead was going to be an option. You never knew.
No.
Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy.
And once again,
And the fact that there's so much of it that goes on.
There was one in New York that I found, and she was transported up to upstate New York, which is where we are. Let's see if I can get this video. And she had a mom and dad, or she had a mom.
How old was she?
She talks about a mom. She was like she had a prom here. She had a prom dress on, so
Like high school, maybe like upper high school age.
yeah.
I never thought that I would end up in the position I did. I was right around the age of 15, kind of a wild,
15.
rebellious child. I played with hair colors and I wanted tattoos and piercings.
This was very recent.
Express myself. 1 o'clock in the morning, I would be responding to people on Facebook and direct messaging them. My mom was really kept in the dark for quite a while. Being a young teenager, I was excited. Oh, these random people, they want to meet me, they want to be my friend. I had no idea who they were. Sometimes a message would come along with a friend request, and I would just go down the list and add without even looking into it. I could talk all day about books and music, and I felt like I was connected with another person who I had never met before. The possibility of it being predatory behavior never crossed my mind. The biggest risky behavior was exchanging explicit photographs. Not to the knowledge of either of my parents, I had taken photos of myself that no child should ever do and no child should ever share with anyone. Closer to my 18th birthday, I made the decision that I was ready to meet Jay in person. And it built up over a couple months. It was something I had actually put some thought into. The initial meeting was nothing that I had expected. It was someone substantially older, late 30s, early 40s. I had never actually seen a photograph of him, and so I was in shock. I didn't really say anything. I didn't have the strength and the courage to be able to take myself out of that situation, so I stayed. And that was the beginning.
I mean, she's 18 years old.
Experience.
They're not like you and me where we're just like,
brought to an apartment somewhere
see ya.
in the Boston vicinity and held there for a night. And from there, I was taken to upstate New York. My cell phone had gotten taken away, and then towards the end, I got access back to my cell phone, and I was in communication with someone who at the time I trusted and I was close with. Something was about to transpire, and I was terrified that if I moved, I would never be found. It's dark outside. I knew there were men around, and I grabbed what I could, which wasn't much. The clothes I had on, put on a pair of shoes, and ran as fast as I could. There were a few minutes where I honestly wasn't sure if we were going to get away. There were men locking us in vehicles who were a part of the human trafficking. I don't think I took a breath for months after. My body had been violated against my will. I did not want that.
Cheryl Wills, New York 1.
I don't know who Cheryl is.
Thank you, Cheryl. This is why, she was 18, so social media, I truly don't think children should be allowed on social media until they're at least 18. But I'm just the type of person, you can't trust anybody. And I will be on my kids until I'm dead.
But there's a lot of parents that don't do that, Megan.
I know that, but it's
here's the phone, mommy and daddy are busy.
I get it, but social media has so many scary people on there. It really does. And if you're giving that to a young child, especially high school age, right? Think about being a girl in high school.
Yeah. I was crazy in the head.
You're crazy in the head.
You look for attention anywhere.
You're crazy in the head. I don't care who you are. You're insane.
You're dealing with stuff.
You think you're it. You think you know everything.
You think you know everything.
And you think nothing can hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
Truly. You think you are, nothing can touch you. And that's not the case. And it's so easy to get sucked into something like that because it's behind a screen. And then, if it sounded like, over time she built up this trust with this Jay stranger. And she took that one step to meet him, and then her life was ruined from there.
There's another story about a young girl that left her home and once again had a mom and a dad, and she was promised that she would be making $20 million, doing a documentary on just taking, I think, pornography pictures. Well, unfortunately, to find out, and she said when I first got there was a guy and a girl, and they were really nice to me. And for the first couple months, it was like they were my best friend, and they cared for me, and they loved me.
course.
And that's all I wanted was just to be cared for and loved. And then they eventually they called it the something phase, the prostitution phase, where she had to start sleeping with people and make money, and she wasn't allowed to keep any of that money. And then she was like, I think what shocked me the most was how nice they were in the beginning, and how they
because they prey on the people that are like that, and that all stems from childhood. That stems from the house that you're growing up in and the environment that you're around. Because the people that have a solid foundation of a home and who raise their kids right, they talk to them about these types of things. And I'm not saying there's kids out there that have great homes, great parents, great families, and don't make mistakes like that and get wrapped up into things like that. I know that happens, but I feel like this happens to the people that, or the younger kids that, you know, maybe aren't confident. They have had trauma in their life. They just want to feel loved and accepted and weren't getting that, you know, from wherever. And so they're easily wrapped up and manipulated into those situations. That's just my opinion, but I think that's a lot of it.
Of course it is. Listen, a plane never crashes for one reason. There's always multiple reasons.
It's so scary. It's like, I don't know. And there's so many weirdos out there.
There are so many weirdos.
Lurking behind a screen. And it's so easy to like make a fake profile. It's so easy to pretend you're somebody else. Look at that show Catfish. I mean,
I know. Oh.
Look how easy that is for people to do. I know. But that
is
goes
it easy
on every day.
Or are people just so freaking desperate?
Both, I think.
To just find their identity in some type of relationship.
I think it's both. Like, this isn't about sex trafficking, but did you ever watch, it's on Netflix, The Tinder Swindler?
No, but I heard about it.
You need to watch it. Again, this dude manipulated multiple women.
How, though? If you've never met or seen this person?
Well, then he did meet a couple, but it was always like a quick encounter. He was engaged, I think, to one of them and all this money. These women gave this guy so much money, which I'm thinking, if some guy that I don't really know is like, you know, things are going to be great. My business is this and that. I just need $10,000.
No, right.
Then we can be together and I'll come live there.
It's called a red flag, ladies.
And then people are like, okay. Okay. I love you.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
Or, let me just go to the bank real quick and get a loan and send it to you.
So once again, like, is it that easy, or do you just have to find the right friggin' person?
I think you have to find it. Yeah, I think it's both. But like I said, there's a lot of people that get wrapped up in that.
Well, like going back to Catfish, like I have a boyfriend of 8 months. You've never met him. You've never done like a live video with him. You've only talked to him via a machine.
Yeah, like, and
of course he's not real.
Yeah, it's like they can't video chat for some reason. It's always got to be on the phone, or they can't ever come visit you because of this or that. And it's like,
listen,
those are called flags.
If it walks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck.
But it's scary, and especially if you're targeting teenagers.
I know that teenagers are. I mean, so easily influenced.
So easily influenced. So easily influenced.
If you say the right things and give them what they want, they are very easily influenced. I totally agree. It's not that it's sad. It's exactly the way you're supposed to be when you're a teenager.
Of course, like yes, we all were, but.
Okay, well, this was a depressing episode.
Yeah, seriously, I feel like I'm
gonna go home and hug your children, will you?
Seriously, I won't yell tonight.
I do love that they painted Balenciaga's front wall. Did you see that?
Yes.
That's why cancel culture can sometimes be a saving grace there.
But they're not even being canceled.
No, they're not. And people aren't talking about it anymore because they think the problem got solved by just firing the poor photographer who was probably following directions.
100%. He's like a National Geographic photographer who was hired to just take these images with the props that were given to them.
Yeah. So stop using children.
But also,
people.
as adults, can we please just speak up for stuff.
Well, open your eyes.
Open your eyes. I don't care what you're working on or how huge this could be for your career or the money that you're getting. You know, like,
Oh, you know that had something to do with
of
it.
course it did. But that's what makes it even more sick. You're telling me as a grown-up, not one fiber in your being was like, this feels a little wrong. Like, this feels weird, but I'm just going to do it anyway.
It's like that little voice inside of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's even worse. We can't even as people like step up to help these kids, these poor kids that are like just there because their parents freaking brought them.
Well, no, because their parents are trying to make a buck.
Right.
So, yeah, really unfortunate. But they're cute.
Yeah, well, put them in a Gap freaking
I know.
campaign.
I know. A Gap campaign.
Go to Zara. I don't know.
I was going to say, who goes to Gap anymore?
I don't know. Go to Zara, okay? Go somewhere
I
cute.
hated Gap growing up.
Yeah, I wasn't a big Gap
I didn't.
person.
My butt didn't fit in their jeans. Neither in
Yeah.
Abercrombie either.
They have some cute baby stuff. I will say that. I haven't been to Gap in forever.
I don't like Zara's kid stuff.
They have some cute stuff.
Oh, they do? I mean, you know what? That's not fair.
My
I
mom
really walked
single-handedly keeps them alive. So.
What's nice about their clothing is like it's somewhat on the less expensive side.
It is, and it's honestly really good quality.
And it does last.
It does last, and I like their sizing too.
Yeah.
It's like not, it's good. So, anyone, I mean,
If anybody wants to donate children's Gap,
we're Zara fans.
and you send her the
My kids are
children's stuff. Your kids are so cute. So cute. They should be in pictures, not holding teddy bears with BDSM on them.
No.
What does BDSM stand for?
It means bondage, discipline, or domination, sadism, and masochism.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, let's end it there.
Okay. So on that note,
All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening / watching today.
yes, come again.
Yes. Thanks for watching the show. Let's just question the answer.
Bye.